country without these words. Can you imagine if it had never been spoken? We here highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Can you imagine a nation without those words? How many of you grew up memorizing the Gettysburg Address in school? You're showing your age, they don't do that anymore in school. Yeah. Can you imagine a world if the words have never been spoken? I have a dream that one day this nation will rise and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Imagine a world without those words. What if I think, therefore I am had never been spoken? Or imagine if David had never wrote, yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Or what if Jesus had never said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Amen. Words mean something. Amen. Words carry weight. Words start wars. But what I want to give to you this morning is that words create worlds. I want you to say that with me. You got to slow it down so you don't slip it up. You ready? Words create worlds. One more time now. Words create worlds. Scripture reveals to us that the world literally began when God spoke his word. Now, as we journey into this new year, a milestone year, a new decade, a new frame of thinking. We are now 19 days into a new year, and I want you to know that the Word of God continues to have power to shape our world. Amen. And the potential of the Word of God not only affects our world, our nation, our city, our church, but what I believe for you individually is that the Word of God has the power to change you personally. Because of that, we start a new series this morning about the words that God spoke all the way back in the book of Exodus. And also this series is about the vision for our church. If you would allow me over the next several weeks to paint a word picture that will create a world of the future of our ministry. Now maybe when you think about the book of Exodus and vision, you don't seem to connect those two things, but I promise you if you'll lend me your attention just for a few minutes, I believe you'll see a vision for a church, but also I pray that you will see a vision for your personal journey with Jesus. Because when we turn to Exodus chapter 3, I believe 90% of the people in this room, if not more, will identify with Moses and where he finds himself in the particular season of life that we enter in the narrative in Scripture. I would like to, in this moment, remind you that we have prepared an app for you. I want to thank Nick personally and publicly. Nick, who is now our pastoral intern. Thank you for your hard work and effort. I want to show my appreciation. I'm going to clap my hands. Thank you, Nick, for doing that. So if you go to your app store and download Revive Cincy, Cincy is with a Y, and Revive Cincy, or if you've already had it downloaded, you go to your app. On the front of that app that has sermon notes, connection card, you can give. We're going to work on that live stream. But you go to the sermon notes right now as I'm preaching, and you see it says, words create worlds, and it has the text that we're getting ready to read, so you can read that right in front of you. And also for you ADHD people there's some fill in the blanks that you can actually type in your phone. You're going to love that. It's going to be like playing a game during the sermon, and I give you permission to do so today. When we find ourselves in Exodus chapter 3, I think you're going to identify with Moses. Can I tell you why? He is on the backside of the desert taking care of his father-in-law's goats. You identify with that? Well, not literally. I'm not saying they have any goat orders this morning or anybody who's roaming the desert. Maybe you're working for your father-in-law. That's another sermon. But I believe metaphorically there are people who are confused, frustrated, maybe even borderline depressed about the circumstances that make up your day to day. You thought your life would be different. To the college kids or the high schoolers in our midst, maybe you thought that there was this scholarship out in front of you, that you were going to this prestigious college, but now you're looking at the reality of what does it look like to go to a state college, and how am I going to pay for my school without going into debt that will debilitate me for the rest of my life. The situation isn't what you thought it was. Or maybe you thought by now you would have found that person to love or to be with. Maybe you're out of college, and maybe you're into your career, and it seems like everybody else is finding love, and everyone else is having babies, and you can't even get a date, and you're frustrated with your situation. It seems like there's no good men or no good women left in the city, and so maybe your thought is the best thing I can do is I can just get out of Cincinnati. I can't tell you people heard that, but just get out of Cincinnati. I'm going to tell you there's broke, frustrated people in other cities in the nation too. Yeah. Maybe you're thinking if I just get out of the city or get out of this circumstance, and maybe I can escape my frustration and my struggle. Or maybe you're a new parent and you're trying to navigate. You're barely on the corporate ladder, or maybe barely putting ends together, and now you got mouths to feed, and you're burning your candle at both ends, and you don't know how you're going to make it. You're pulling your hair out at night, waking up with those days. I don't know, maybe you feel frustrated. Or maybe you got to a season of life, a difficult season, and kids start growing up, and teenagers, and they're grown adults, and then your mom and dad start getting older, and you got to care for not only your own teenage kids and adult kids, you got to care for your elderly parents. It seems like life is not all that you expected it to be. Or maybe you're in a season where kids have left the house and you don't know what to do with yourself. You used to have purpose. You used to have meaning. But now that purpose lives in another city, and that meaning lives in another state, and you don't know what it is that God has for you in this season of life. Am I talking to anybody this morning? Anybody's bell ring? You thought the struggle, whatever struggle it is, it may be, you thought it'd be over by now. You thought I'd be out of this season. I would be out of this stage. I would be out of this economic situation. I would be out of this argument. I would be out of this frustration. But it seems like the struggle won't end. But I want you to know as we walk into the life of Moses that his struggle was a setup. A sovereign setup. That God had a plan for his life, and God was setting him up. What was about to happen in Exodus chapter 3, while Moses is seemingly on the backside of nowhere, Moses is getting ready to have an encounter with God. Amen. And maybe it is that your setup and your struggle is preparing you for the greatest moment of your life when you recognize who God is, and he's real, and his presence is real. That's where we find ourselves in Exodus chapter. You ready to read the word? Look at the Bible says, verse number 1. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside, or the back of the desert, and came to Oreb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of the bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. Then Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses! And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet, For the place where you stand is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt. And I have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from the land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. There's a lot there, isn't it? We'll give you 3 things this morning that were very real to Moses with his encounter to God, that I believe are just as real for us sitting in a folding chair today. You ready? Number 1. Notice Moses' response to the revelation of God. The response to the revelation of God. It's interesting to me that when God chose to speak to Moses, he used ordinary things. Ordinary things. He uses a burning bush in the desert. Now, what he would do with that burning bush would be extraordinary. But the medium, his canvas, was something very ordinary. No doubt Moses, tending the flock in the desert, had seen burning wilderness before. I mean, my heart and my prayer go to the people of Australia. The whole continent seems to be on fire. We've seen these wildfires in our own nation before. I'm going to reveal something to you today that I'm really embarrassed about. In the last service, Karen wasn't there, and so it wasn't as real, but now Karen is here, so she's going to laugh at me publicly, I know, as I tell you the story. Is there anyone like myself, and that way I feel better about my ways and my tendencies? You love to sit at a fire pit or have an open fire or a bonfire. That's a relaxing, that is an enjoyable experience for me. Yeah, for you as well. So I love. So I buy a little fire pit. I'm in the backyard, and I am in just relaxing, enjoying the crackling, and just there's something about it that in that moment I can relax and I can think. But what I failed to do is realize all of the leaves that I had failed to rake a couple weeks ago, and it was a little dry, and I did not take proper fire safety measures, and before I knew it, I had a fire in my backyard. I mean, a real fire in my backyard. Kids were out there, and they're screaming for mom, and they're running in the house, and I'm taking off my coat, and I'm trying to put out the fire with my coat, and I'm telling you this is the truth, I'm not making this up. My neighbor is behind the fence. Do you remember Tim the Tool Man? Remember that show? Remember the neighbor you only could see like this part of their face? My neighbor's above the fence with his hose trying to put out this fire. It was the most ridiculous thing you ever seen in your life. It was pitiful. Just absolutely pitiful. A fire getting out of control isn't necessarily a unique sight. That was a unique sight in my house. But Moses, no doubt, had seen lightning strike and fires happen. But notice the power of God. What kind of bush is this? It says, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of the bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning. That's not extraordinary. That's ordinary. Notice this. But the bush was not consumed. Now, this is not the message, but it'd be a great time to time out and talk about the power of God. Because the power of God is a sustaining power. The power of God is a power that when things should stop, they continue. The power of God can make things go on. When you think it should be over, it is not over. What I'm saying with this bush, it is not over until God says it's over. Amen. It's the fire that God lit, and God can sustain, and God can continue, and God can nurture, God touch your life. That's the power of God. Notice what happens next. Verse number 3. And I love this because Moses is either talking to himself or he's talking to the goats. He says, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. And then immediately look what happens, verse number 4. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside and looked, God called to him in the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. See what's interesting there? Is that Moses turned to look, and God saw him turn. And when God saw him turn, then God spoke. Now we know that God can do whatever he wants to do. And I wonder, how come God didn't just say, hey, Moses, yeah, you over there with the goats. Come here, I want to talk to you. Come on here, boy. I got something for you. Is it within the power of God for him to have done that? Yeah. Church, are you with me? Are you with me? Could God just spoke to him? Didn't he even have to wait for him to be in the desert? Could he have been in his tent? Yeah. Could he have had a dream? Could he send an angel? There was multiple ways that God could have spoken to Moses. But notice here the word says, when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called. Yeah. I wonder how many ordinary instances where God ordains a moment to catch your attention. I wonder how many seemingly routine, mundane days where you're just going about your business and God is wanting for you to have an encounter with his presence. And God, in this particular instance, and I would imagine if he did it then, he can do it now. He waited for Moses to turn and look, and that's when he spoke. See, some of us right now, we have been so dulled and we have been so desensitized because of all the lights and all the flash and all the devices and all the food and all the sugar that we can't even hear God. And I'm not talking about bells and lights and funny feelings. I'm talking about an ordinary, average, everyday things, but touched by the power of God. I'm talking about moments when you're with your children, laying them down for bed. I'm talking about moments driving in the car with your spouse. I'm talking about moments, hey, you can have church in your car just like you can have church on a Sunday morning. You can have church laying those children down and praying with them. God hears those prayers just like he hears these prayers on Sunday morning. Just in the ordinary, in the moment, in everyday instances of life. And it was in that instance that Moses recognized something was different. And he said, I'm going to take time away from what I got going on. I'm going to let some of the profitability of the sheep herding business fall while I see something that maybe God is doing supernatural in my life. I wonder if there's something in your life that you've been giving your energy and your time and your resources to, that you could just push pause on for a while. Maybe it is that God wants to speak to you, and that you would have an encounter with God that will change you forever. Notice the second thing. Look at the concern of our Creator for the people of God. Look at verse number 7. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. Did you see that? God said, I've seen, I have heard, and I know. Amen. I want to speak and encourage someone here today who's in the middle of their struggle. God says, I see it, I hear it, and I know what you're going through. See, there are some in a particular school of thought who would imagine it is possible that God stands outside of the universe and that he doesn't care about the details of our situation. That he doesn't care about your boyfriend's trouble or your girlfriend's trouble. That he doesn't care about your kid's trouble or your work trouble. He doesn't care. That's what some people think, that he's God, but he just leaves us alone. But I think the scripture here reveals to us that we have a God who cares about the very details of our life. I have seen, I have heard, and I know their sorrows. Look at verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Do you realize here that in God's presence is all of the hurt that you are experiencing? He says that the cry of the children of Israel, where has it gone? It's come to me. I guess that's maybe why the psalmist said that he is a very present help in the time of trouble. I think there's something about trouble that God is in the midst. I think he said in the word, the psalmist said, that I am near, I'm close to those who are of a broken heart. I think God, in his sovereignty, he sits in our struggle. That's why David said, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou art with me. Amen. He's there, and their struggle and their cry and their hurt is right in God's face. Amen. And so God, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know your struggle. I don't know your frustration. But I can guarantee you this, God knows. Amen. He hasn't forsaken you. He hasn't forgotten you. Amen. Look at the third thing this morning. And excuse my words as I try to illustrate something for you that my mind struggles to understand. Look at what it says. Number 3 there, your point. Notice the compass and the cinema for the vision of God. The compass, what's the compass? That's that thing you use that points north, right? Because of the magnetic field, that it points north. And if you know what direction north is, then you can find your way. It gives us direction. But then what is the cinema? The cinema is a moving picture. It's a picture brought to life. Notice what God says to bring direction and to bring a vision to life. Look at verse number 8. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. That reminds me of when Mama gets fed up. She's upstairs doing her makeup. She's upstairs cleaning. She's upstairs trying to take a nap. And the kids are downstairs just acting an absolute fool. Help me now, Mom. And finally she has had enough. And what does she say? Don't make me come down. Don't make me come down. I think God has said, I finally had enough with the oppression of my people. I have had enough of the slavery and the bondage of my people. I'm coming down there. Amen. He said, so I've come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Amen. And to bring them from that land, help me now, I'm getting ready to preach. To bring me from that land to a good and large land. I'm going to take them from the struggle. Oh, help me. I want to help you if you'll help me here. I'm going to take them from the struggle that I have seen and that I have heard and that I know. I'm going to take them from their cry that is all up in my face, and I'm going to take them from that land, and I'm going to bring them into a large land and to a good land. Amen. That sounds pretty good, right? Yeah. God says, but I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to give you a picture. I'm going to paint a picture on a canvas, and I'm going to use my words to describe the place from which I'm bringing you. Amen. He says, to a land flowing with milk and honey. Amen. Amen. Now, if I'm a slave, I think any old land would do. Yeah. God, you don't have to do anything special. I just tired of people beating me. Yeah. I'm tired of making bricks. I'm tired of being oppressed. I'm tired of someone telling me in an unjust manner, telling me what to do, or where to go, how to act, or what to say. God, you don't have to take me to a good land. Arkansas will do. Idaho will do. Maybe West Virginia. Now God said, no, it's not just an ordinary land that I'm bringing you to. I'm bringing you to a large land, a good land, and if that wasn't enough, let me say it this way. A land flowing Can you see it now? You see the cinema? You can see it in your mind's eye. A land flowing with milk and honey. Isn't that just like our God? Amen. Because if God were to say, I'm going to set a rescue plan for my people, and I'm just going to save them from hell, I'll just save them from eternal separation from me, would that be good enough for you? It'd be good enough for me. But God says, no, that's not enough. That doesn't show my nature. That doesn't show my character. What I'm going to do is more than just bring you out of bondage, but I'm going to bring you into a land. I'm going to bring you to a place where you recognize my goodness, where you know how great and awesome that I am. I'm bringing you into a land flowing with milk and honey. I wonder if there's anybody in this church today who will recognize God just hasn't saved my soul, but he has blessed my life. He doesn't owe me anything. But he is a good God. And you know, it's not even just for the people of God that he's good. It rains on the just and the unjust. There's common grace. There's common goodness in this world. Hey, we serve a good Father. Amen. We serve a good God. Amen. Bringing you to a land flowing with milk and honey. But excuse my language. What I see God do next is an okie doke. You ever heard of the okie doke? Yeah, I heard that. I don't know what you call it growing up. You know, the psych. Yeah. You know, what else? I don't know what you call that. God said, I'm going to switch it up on you. Notice what he says in verse, can we watch these words here? This is verse number 8. Then we read verse number 10. Verse number 8. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, to bring them up from that land to a good land. Can you go to verse number 8? Is that verse number 8? Help me out. I'll read off my notes if this is not verse number 8. Look what it says there. He says, so I have come down. See that? Yeah. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Look at verse number 10. Here's the okie doke. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Wait a minute, God. Help me out now, Lord. Because it sounded like in verse number 8, you said you were coming down. Sound like you were going to do it. You said I. But then in verse number 10, you said you want to send me. And that I'm going to bring the people. Now, Lord, I think you got the wrong God. That would be the following conversation that Moses would have with God. Can I reveal to you an eternal principle? That God wants to do great things. God is going to do. God is doing great things in this world. But guess how he does it? And you just thought you were sitting on a metal folding chair in the middle of an elementary cafeteria, watching a fat guy sweat and holler. Right? And you thought you were just showing up to appease mom, because mom going to ask you to go to church, or you just thought you were just showing up to look for a date, or you thought you were showing up because you didn't have nothing else to do. And God is turning this thing right back on you and says, I'm going to do great things, and guess what? I'm going to use you to do it. You say, oh, no. You got the wrong guy. I mean, Moses is on the backside of the desert taking care of goats. Nobody's thinking about Moses right now. Nobody cares about Moses right now. He's a forgotten name. He's a forgotten figure. Hey, I don't care what you're going through right now, what's your situation. You may feel forgotten, but I know God is faithful. Amen. He has a plan. And if you can inhale and you can exhale, I believe that you are a potential world changer in this world. Amen. I believe God has a reason for you to be existing in this universe. So God calls Moses. And here's what I need you to take away with you as we head towards the finish line this morning. That the call of God is a call to follow his word. Amen. The call of God is the call to follow his word. Now, you can stay distracted. You can stay desensitized. And you can keep on going back to the goat herding if that's what you want to do. But when God calls, he is calling you to pursue and to follow and obey his word. Amen. You know what the good news is, Christians? Is that we're on the other side of his revelation. We don't need burning bushes anymore. Amen. We don't need angels speaking. We don't need voices coming out of heaven. That there is a preserved book that sits in most of our laps or is on one of our devices that is readily available. Matter of fact, it's the most readily available book in the whole world. There's a written revelation of who God is and his will for our lives, and we can follow God in his call as we follow his word. Amen. But maybe there's two types of people in this room who says, number one, who says, well, I don't know the word of God. Well, I would say if I were you, I would find some ordinary moments to have an encounter with God. I'd have some moments at my lunch break. I'd have some moments before I'm on my way to school. I'd have some moments before I lay my head down where I say, I'm going to turn aside and see this great sight. Amen. A book that has been tried to be destroyed. A book that is thousands of years old, but yet is true and congruent throughout the ages. A book that is a supernatural. I want to turn aside and see what this has to say for my life. Because call from God is a call to follow his word. Or for people in the room like me, I grew up in church since I was 3 years old. Maybe our problem is not knowing the word of God. Maybe our problem is obeying the word of God. Because what would it look like if a man went to a mirror and saw he had a blemish on his face and he turned away and didn't do anything about it? He'd be a foolish man. And that's the word picture that James used. He says, when you look into the Bible shows you who you are, what you need to change, and you turn around and don't do anything about it, you're a fool. Amen. We can't just be hearers of the word. Oh, Pastor, that was a good message. No, it's a good message when you start doing it. Amen. Not when you start listening to it. Amen. Am I preaching okay, brother? Is the mic on? Hello? Yeah. That's a good sermon. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. When we put our faith into action. And God says, I'm going to help you. Aren't you glad God knows who we are? He knows our struggle. He knows that we need grace, that we need help. So this is what he did. He said, Moses, I know you're struggling. So I'm going to paint a picture with my words. I am going to create a world. I'm going to create a reality that is yet to come. I'm going to use my words to form this picture. And that way you would pursue that vision. He used the phrase, a land flowing with milk and honey. And with these words, he moved Moses into action. You know what I find interesting about Moses? Moses had tried to be a deliverer at one time. For those of you who don't know the Bible, who grew up in church, I'm glad you're here. This is why we do what we do. We're here to see every lost son and daughter come find their way home and experience God's love. So if you don't know the story of Moses, if you'd have read Exodus chapter 1 and Exodus chapter 2, you'd have found out that though Moses was a Hebrew, that they were killing children, babies, because the nation was growing too big. And so Moses' mother took little baby Moses and floated him down the river. And one of Pharaoh's daughters got that little baby and raised Moses as a prince of Egypt. That's where they got the title of the Disney movie, by the way. They raised him as a prince. And for 30 years, he experienced life as a prince of Egypt. And there was one day, and he obviously recognized his heritage because he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew. And so Moses took it in his own hands to kill that Egyptian, buried him in the sand, but found out very soon that that was a recipe for failure. See, Moses had tried to be a deliverer before, but he did it under his own strength and he did it under his own instruction. And there may be people in this room today and you say, Pastor, When you talk about that God has a purpose for my life, and you talk about I can be a world changer, and when you talk about that maybe there's something that God wants me to do great, and you say, Pastor, I've tried all that stuff before, I've gone down that road, I've pursued that, and it's just left me frustrated. Could it be you did it in your own power and under your own instruction? But maybe there's a timing of God, and what I have found in the timing of God is God waits until we're small. God waits until we're weak. God waits when we're so small, we're so weak, only He gets the glory for what gets accomplished. We got some smart people in our church, and that makes me nervous sometimes. But I'm glad I'm not the smartest guy in the room. That's good for us. And so there's a doctor who's in our church, a PhD, and I'm across from the table from this doctor, and he's just talking to me about life. And he said, when I went to graduate school, he said, I went through high school, straight A student, star athlete. I went to college, excelled, Dean's List. And he said, but when I got to graduate school, he said it really forced me. It was a gut check. I wasn't getting A's, I was getting C's. And he said the work was so hard. He said that really stretched me and humbled me and prepared me for what I'm doing today. And then he said this. He says, I perceive that when pastors get out of seminary, they think they can do anything. He said, I don't think they have the same experience that I had in graduate school. He said, I think they have some type of experience where they go out there with grandiose thoughts and ideas, and they think they can do anything if they know it all. And then he said this. He says, and I think what you're doing with planning a church, he says, I think that's the same thing as my graduate school. He says, that probably beat you into submission where you realize you need God. And I just did this the whole time. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about a God who beats you into submission. I'm not talking about that. There's a story where a guy wrestled with God. And it'd be like me wrestling with my 4-year-old son. Sometimes he beats me, but it ain't because he's stronger than me. It's just because I like the moment of the presence of us together. But what I'm saying is sometimes God allows us to follow that goat tending and follow our dreams and follow our pursuits and try to get out of our timing of God and try to get in front of God. He allows us to do that. And He knows exactly where we are. And then when we're ready, when we're small, when we're weak, when we're humble, when we've learned a lesson or two, when we're ready. As the old timers would say, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then God says, now I want to reveal myself to you in a new and a fresh way. Pastor Joe, if you could help me finish this message this morning. So what God is doing, not only is collective, not only is He getting ready to deliver a nation, but I want you to understand it's personal. He's revealing Himself as a promise keeper, as a covenant maker. Do you recognize when Moses has this encounter? I didn't bring the whole band. Okay, come on, let's go. Let's do it. Do you recognize that when Moses has this encounter with God, that Moses doesn't even know his name? Anybody with me? Anybody awake this morning? He didn't know his name. The people of God here would have called Him Creator God, or the Most High God, translated Elohim. And one of Moses' objections, which we're going to come to, not today. Part 2. It's like, who do I tell them sent me? Amen. I don't even know your name. Amen. And so what I want you to know is, when I talk about God has a purpose for your life and that God wants to change this world, it's not just for all of them out there. What I'm trying to tell you is God loves you and He wants to reveal Himself to you. Amen. He desires that relationship with us on a personal level. And God says, I'm going to let you in on my character. I'm going to let you in on who I am. I'm going to tell you my name. Yeah. But I guess the question for Revive City Church, and the question for you as you sit in that metaphorical chair, is why? Anybody had a 4-year-old ask the question why 10,000 times in one day? Can we be the 4-year-old? Is that okay to be the 4-year-old? Why, God? Why? I mean, let's play a couple different ways. Number one, why does God have to take them out of Egypt to take them into the land, this land of love with milk and honey? Egypt, as I know it, is the most powerful country in the world at this time. Why would God just allow children of Israel to take over Egypt? Why does he have to take them out and put them into this little land? Why? 2 reasons. Number one, when God revealed himself to Moses, God says, I'm the God of your father, I'm the God of Abraham, I'm the God of Isaac, I'm the God of Jacob. What he was reminding Moses is, I am a God who made promises, and I'm a promise keeper. I'm a way maker. I'm a miracle worker, and I'm going to keep my word. I made a covenant with Abraham. I made a covenant with Isaac. I made a covenant with Jacob. And I told them that they would stand in this land, and that their descendants would be more numerable than all the sand of the sea, more than the stars in the sky. God was saying, I'm a promise keeper. But I want you to understand this too. God told Abraham in his promise, he says, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. And then he says, and all the families of the earth will be blessed. How many of you have ever seen the meme that says, how many days old when you discovered? Anybody know what I'm talking about right now? Okay. How many days old when you discovered? Can I ask you a question? Why? Why Israel? Why? Put a little map up on the screen. I believe you have it. It should say land bridge. Do we not have that? Oh, Lord help us. There it is. Come on, let's give it up for our media people. Come on, see Egypt? See, now that says Israel here, but it's got a line pointing to this little bitty just strip of land. Really small strip. What was so important by that land? We can play softly, please. Notice, in that tiny strip of land is the only place where 3 continents come together. Africa, Asia, and Europe. See, God knew that in this little land bridge, people from all over the world literally would meet together for a moment. And in that moment, God would herald his good news. And literally now, all over the world, the good news of Jesus has gone out from that little strip of land. All over to Africa, Asia, Europe, even across the sea now to where we sit today. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. That your desert is tied to somebody's destiny. Your taking care of the goats is tied to somebody finding out who God is. And God said, I got a little strip of land prepared because there's a bigger plan. There's a large plan that I want to use ordinary people. Goat farmers, shepherds, just average, everyday working. I want to use normal people to touch the world, to affect the world. And I love you, church. And I'm here today to try to speak as much life into you as I possibly can. I don't know what your struggle is, but the God of Moses is the God of today. He's the same yesterday, to today, and forevermore. And he still uses ordinary people with struggles to change the world. Can I prove it to you? We celebrate one of these guys' birthday tomorrow. Dr. Martin Luther King. Now today is a worship service where we worship Jesus, and so we're not putting anybody up on a pedestal but Jesus. But the Bible talks about giving honor to whom honor is due. And there were a group of men and women represented by Dr. King ordinary people, not rich people, not necessarily powerful people within their own strength or their own instruction, but people who changed our world. And I always like to make mention of this at this time of the year, because if you look around this church, I think this is a vision fulfilled of what Dr. King dreamed about. Right? I think this is a vision fulfilled of what he thought our nation should look like. I want you to know it took courage, it took sacrifice. It was not an act of comfort. Some of these men and women risked everything, not just black people. There was white people as well on those buses. There was black people and white people as well on those marches. There were people, ordinary people, who made a difference to the world. And I want to tell you, church, this is part one. I can't wait to tell you part two about how God could take an ordinary, small little church that meets in the elementary school and how really change this city by the grace of God and have an impact on this world. And ultimately, see somebody's eternity change forever. I give glory to God this morning. 2 little boys at our North Campus gave their hearts to Jesus. I give glory to God. 2 young teenage boys entered into the family of God. And I pray that their life far exceeds and goes so much further than anything I'd ever do in this world. And I tell you, one little sermon and one little church and one little folding chair could change this world forever. I give God glory and praise today. Don't you think you're too small? Don't you think you're too insignificant? Don't you think you're too much in a struggle that God can't use you? He'll pick you right where you are. And he'll get so much glory from taking someone like me, someone like you, and using them to make a difference in this world. But the question I have for you as we conclude, do you know